Probably the most horrific thing or violent thing I've seen was probably Birmingham Demonstration 2013, where the police lost control and the EDL just rioted, caused quite a bit of damage. And we were being attacked by a group called MDL, which is another group called the Muslim Defence League. The EDL charged them, we managed to get through the police lines. And it was just fighting in the street. It didn't look good looking back on it. It didn't matter what colour they were, white, brown, black. If they were Muslims, we hated them. My name's Ivan Humble. I'm 49 years old, born in Lowestoft, and I was a former regional organiser for the English Defence League for around 5 years. Growing up in Lowestoft over the years, when I was a kid, there's lots to do. Bring it forward to nowadays, not so much to do with the cuts of the community centres and stuff like that. Our industries have took a big hit, so we lost the fishing industry years ago. A lot of the factories are shut, the chicken factories, Bolton and Paul making windows and door frames. A lot of our work around our way now is seasonal or shop work. It's kind of a dying seaside town now. Our Muslim community in my town is really insignificant because of the numbers. We have a population of over 60,000 people, and we have a Muslim community of just probably about 100 people. And it's not like most towns, these are mainly men. So we don't see headscarves, we don't see burqas. And a lot of the men probably work in the restaurants or the kebab shops. So we don't really see that Muslim that you see in the telly or in the newspapers, which is why my mindset was I didn't want it to come to my town. I wasn't really contacted by the EDL. What it was I see a news report of our troops coming home from Iraq in Luton in 2009. Halfway through their homecoming parade, they were disrupted by a group of radical Muslims, their leader being Ajam Chowdhury.
But definitely because of the aggression of the Americans and the British and others, there will never be a treaty with these people. I think eventually they will be conquered. You know, if freedom and democracy and liberalism, etc., are not good enough for the British, why are their own soldiers dying for it, you know, in Afghanistan and Iraq? It doesn't make any sense. This is why we say, Al-Islamu ya'lu wa la yu'la alayh. Islam is superior, will never be surpassed. We never change.
He was a Muslim that was on the TV, in the newspapers, on the documentaries. So people like me in the towns I come from, when we seeing him on the TV all the time, not being challenged, we honestly believed that he was the voice of the Muslim community. Why else would the press go to him? He was probably the reason that I got radicalised. Was after I see that troops protest, it was him I researched. It was him I become really knowledgeable on his interpretation of Islam. And through the charity work I'd done, meeting young lads of 18, 19 years old, coming home from the war zones with arms and legs missing, their life for the next however long they live, their life is going to be a challenge. So for me, I took it personally. That was my genuine concern. With that genuine concern, I was quite normal back then, so my first place to go to was my town hall to speak to a counsellor. I did have a conversation with somebody there. By the time I got home, the anger turned to frustration because I hadn't had that chance to be listened to properly. So then I put a rant up on Facebook, on social media, to which then I was approached by somebody in my inbox, a random person who naively I started speaking to. After a 3-hour conversation, the person said to me, in a couple of weeks, we're going to form this new organisation called the English Defence League, standing against people like Ajam Chowdhury and the Muslims that disrupted that parade. Did I want to be a part of it? I jumped at the chance. About 15 years before joining the English Defence League, I had a severe mental health breakdown. Probably down to my own fault, not getting help when I needed it, pretending there wasn't a problem, I guess. Looking back at it, I'm a man. I probably weren't ready to talk about them issues back then. Spending 13 weeks in a mental institute changed my life. It made me better, but also taught me one of the best lessons in life, that there's always somebody worse off than you. The stigma around mental health had a big effect on me. Coming out of a place like that, the first thing I noticed as well was my friend circle wasn't the same. So I think back then I was diagnosed at first with borderline schizophrenia. And then 2 years after that diagnosis, I had a proper brain scan and some tests. and I got a diagnosis of a chemical imbalance in the left side of my brain. Once I got that diagnosis, I could probably accept that I had a problem. The echo chambers is a place where I probably went from targeting the extreme Muslims to stereotyping all Muslim community, because in an echo chamber you're stuck in a group with probably 500 other people from all over the country. Everybody lives in a different town to you, and they've all got a different story to tell. Our town didn't have many Muslims. We were in groups with people from Tower Hamlets. Their experience was different to ours. When we listened to their experience, we just kept telling ourselves, we don't want that to come to our town, which kind of fueled it more. It was about 4 months after I joined that I went to my first demonstration, and that's when I found my sense of belonging, because for 4 months I've been speaking to people all over the country, and then when I actually met them in the flesh, I was treated like royalty. We didn't buy a drink, we didn't buy food, that was all bought for us. People put me on a pedestal. The people I've been talking to just a few weeks online, when I met them face to face, as if we'd known each other all our life. It's kind of weird brotherhood feeling. A few months before joining the English Defence League, my relationship broke up. I was in a toxic relationship with my partner, where I was a victim of domestic abuse for 12 months. Once again, being a man, never spoke about it. Being a victim of domestic abuse, that stripped me of my masculinity, I think. I didn't feel like a man anymore. And bringing up 2 kids, I still didn't feel like a man for some reason. Rightly or wrongly, getting in trouble in the first few demos, arguing with people, I become a man again. So my sense of belonging was so strong for the whole of the 5 years. I'd found a place where I had friends again. I wasn't that little loner at home, stuck at home with 2 kids. I think it was Christmas 2011. I had a chance meeting with a Muslim convert in Norwich. I noticed 2 Muslim women walk past with headscarves. Like I said earlier, in my town we don't see that. So in an inquisitive way, I followed them up some stairs in the forum, sort of jotted up to the window, had a look in, and for some reason I knocked on the window. And I see this little white man stand up, start to walk towards the door. When he came out, he greeted me and gave me a hug. It was when he gave me the hug that it made me vulnerable, took me out of my comfort zone. So to try and get this Muslim man off me, I blurted out I was English Defence League. It had a different effect. He was fascinated when I said I was a member of the English Defence League, and he said that he'd wanted to speak to somebody from there for a long while, that although some of the things we were saying he didn't agree with, there was an element of some of the issues and views we were saying that he shared that concern. The important lesson that Kinneal taught me was the importance of common ground. Like I said earlier, they shared some of our concerns about the grooming, the radicalisation and the terrorism. I didn't consider that for 1 minute that a Muslim would think that. Through talking and challenging Kinneal, I realised that maybe my interpretation of Islam was wrong. Once I left the EDL is when I really noticed when labels started to affect me. Recently, just last year, my daughter went to become a foster parent, and my past come up in that I had to prove to them, or my daughter had to prove to them, that I was no longer affiliated to the EDL or stuff like that. So my past could have affected my daughter's future. The work I do now is totally different to where I come from. So I'm now going into schools and in colleges, uni, speaking to frontline staff about my journey, explaining the process that I was in, or that affected me to join, and then how I got out for dialogue. And we go into schools and give the kids a chance to have open, honest opinions and conversations, where if we do see something a bit near the mark, we're there to challenge it or give them a bigger picture, just to make kids really quickly think for themselves. Right, looking back over the last 5 years since leaving the EDL, turning my back on hate, I guess the positives that come out of it are plentiful. My family life, personal life, everything in general is more positive. I guess having hate in your heart restricts your limits, restricts your viewpoint. Now with that gone, the world's my oyster.